coming out here after 30 years, yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts. Yeah, man, we back with Goldie, man. We rocking with Goldie, y'all. Appreciate the love, appreciate the support, man. But Goldie, man, me and Goldie got cool, man. We got alright, man. Especially when we was in the search for our freedom, man. And like I told you, he was a smart dude anyway. You know, he was book smart. You know, it takes that to be able to run the type of parlay or the type of, you know, business that he had. So we had somebody in common, man. I remember this dude. His name was Hustle Man, or that's what we called him. And Hustle Man had been locked up for a while too. And it just so happened that a lady from the parole board came down there to see a dude. And she was coming to see the dude to tell him that he was going to make parole, that they was going to grant him parole, but they just wanted to touch base with him first to let him know what was going on. And it just, so this is how God works sometimes, y'all. Pay attention to this. This is how God works. It just so happened that this dude, Hustle Man, had the exact same name as the other man, right? And they called him down there to see the lady instead of the one they was looking for. Hustle Man goes down there and he got the same name, so when the lady see him, she also got his photo in front of her, so she know by sight that this is not the dude she looking for. So she was like, well, what's your name? And he said the name, said, oh yeah, you got the same name as such and such, but you're not who I'm looking for. So he asks her, who are you? She tells him, I'm Trudy Harris from the parole board investigator, or either parole board researcher, is one or the other. But that name, Trudy Harris, very, very important name in the Virginia penal system, especially in Goldie and I's story, you know what I'm saying? So remember that name, Trudy Harris. So he was like, you know, well, since I'm down here, man, can I talk to you too? I'm trying to make parole too. That lady had the fortitude and the patience to listen to him while she was waiting for them to go get who she had came to see. Now, I don't know what he said exactly, or I don't know what he said verbatim, but I know he told me later on that after she listened to him for a while, she told him that she respect what he had to say, and she also told him that she would look into his situation, right? So she leaves, and they go looking for the dude that got his same name, and this is if I'm not mistaken, man, I think the dude who had his same name had actually went to the hospital or something. Something was wrong with him in his heart or whatever, and he actually passed away. He actually passed away, you know, God bless his soul or whatever, but he actually passed away, and they was actually coming to tell him that he was going to make parole. So with all of that going on, I felt like, you know, Trudy Harris, I can't speak for her, but I felt like in her mind, she was really going to try to find out what was going on with this dude, and she did. And like 4 or 5 months later, he goes up for parole, and he makes it upon her recommendation. Is that not crazy? He makes it upon her recommendation. So he comes out on the yard, you know, he's ecstatic, he's happy, he's singing the praises of the parole board, and he was a religious dude at this time anyway, and he's singing the praises of her. So he's telling everybody that he can that she done made parole. He done made parole because she helped him. You see what I'm saying? So it was crazy, and I'm on the wait pile while he's saying this, and he's telling me this. So I'm on the wait pile, and I said, man, write her name down. So he writes her name down. I get the name, I write it down, and I'm like, oh man, I'm definitely gonna try to reach out to her. I'm definitely gonna try to get my people to holler at her. And when I go in the building, I remember thinking to myself, oh yeah, I got to tell Goldie about this. So I go over to Goldie Jones and knock on his door, and I'm like, hey, Goldie, man, let me holler at you for a minute. So he comes to the door. I'm like, look, you ever heard of Trudy Hers? He was like, oh, yeah. So I heard her. Yeah. I got my people on top of her. I was gonna tell you about her. I got my people on top of my sister trying to call her name, right? I said, well, who is she? So he tried to explain to me who she was, what she do, and then how powerful she was, you know, and she was trying to help dudes too. And if she usually get to looking into your situation, if your situation had some good, you know, stuff to it, that you know, it would greater, you know, help your chances. So I'm like, oh man, I gotta get my people to call her ASAP. So I got on top of trying to get my people to call her, right? So he told me he already had his sister on top of the situation. His sister was his warrior. Shout out Veronica, man. Shout out Veronica. His sister was his warrior. She, you know, went to bat for him. She did the things that she needed to do, trying to get her brother home. You know, my sister was one of my warriors. You know, she used to do the same. You know, so I told my sister, and I had my people on top of the situation. You know, me and Goldie had got so cool, man. You know, he had put his people in touch with my people, so they was trying to network and get things done. Man, it's just the beauty of the love, man, that was being spread around. It was people who loved us was trying to help get us home with them, and we just put the powers to be together, man, and let them just do what they do. So it's just a beautiful situation, man. And man, Trudy Hers turned out to be a major part in this situation, you know, for me and for him, you know. So Goldie ended up, you know, going up for parole, you know what I'm saying. He went up and he was waiting on parole. I hadn't went up yet, you know. And when he did go up, I remember him telling me he went up and he went up in front of a dude named King, right? So I'm like King. He was like, yeah, I went up in front of this dude. And normally when we was going up for parole, we was going up for parole in front of the same people, year after year after year, same interviewer, no different. You know, me, him, anybody else. So it was crazy. So when he told me he went up to see this dude named King, and it was different. And he said, man, it just was a different interview, man. It was a different dude. It was like they sent this dude to interview me personally, you know what I'm saying? They say he's some type of special interviewer that they send. Usually when they send him, it's a good sign. I had never seen him before, so it wasn't never a good sign for me. But that's what he was telling me, and I was like, oh yeah. So it was crazy. And he was just telling me the vibe that he had from it, that he just felt like, man, I'd have made it so I'd have made this, young man. I'm telling you, so I'm going home. I'm like, man, I hope you do, right? He was like, yeah, I'm telling you, so you got to get your people on top of that, man. You got to try to get King, man. You got to try to get King, man. You got to get on Trudy Hers. So at the time, I had my people calling Trudy Hers, man, non-stop, you know. And then some of my people got in touch with Trudy Hers, and they actually talked to her, right? So Trudy Hers had been so hard to get in. When they did finally reach it, she was like, well, look, I'm getting ready to get promoted. You know, it was either from researcher to investigator or investigator to researcher. I'm not sure. But she was getting promoted. And she was like, she don't do that no more. Somebody else is going to be taking that position, which was the King dude. But my people was on so much and was so persistent, she was actually saying, well, look, I'm going to look into your people's situation. I'm not going to promise you nothing. I'm not going to do any of that. But if it's suitable or if he's suitable, then I will have my people get on top of, you know, seeing about his parole situation. And that's what happened, man. They got on top of it. She felt like she looked at my situation. She felt like I was credible. And then she ended up putting the dude on my case. You know what I'm saying? Where I end up going up for parole months later under the same dude, King. So I was like ecstatic, you know. I was feeling like, oh man, I'm on my way home. I'm on my way out of here, you know what I'm saying? So it was crazy. It was just a crazy time, man. The whole atmosphere had changed. People's attitude has changed as far as minds, Goldie's, because now we're looking at the bigger picture. You know, we're looking at the possibility of freedom, whereas we went up every year, but you never really, You know, you get turned down so much, your expectations are lowered. You don't really think you're gonna make it, even though you feel like you should. You just don't think you're gonna make it because of the culture of the environment, because where we at, because of our past experience. It just never worked out that way, you know. So now with us seeing people making parole and making these moves and having people like Trudy Harris and King come into the picture, it just was a different culture, man. It just was like hope was alive again. It was like, man, this thing possible, you know. I had started being proactive. I had started trying to create a program. I was going to the library every day. I was, you know, working on the program, creating this program. You know, the program I created was called Rehab. It had an acronym that stood for Reevaluating Habits and Behavior. It was a nice program, man. I had the people on top of it. They was liking it. So I was doing things myself to stay proactive, you know. I had my people on top of situations, calling people back and forth, trying to get things done, trying to get myself in a position where as to I could possibly be, you know, considered for freedom, you know, which is the greater picture in prison. This is all you want, you know. So Goldie, he's doing the same thing, man. He had his people, they on top of the situation, they doing what they got to do, and that's how we rolling, man. But in the meantime and in between time, man, we were still having to deal with the day-to-day life in prison. The day-to-day prison life don't change. It don't change. It's like Groundhog Day every day. Every day is the same in prison. I don't care what they tell you. Every day is the same. It's just different characters. You know, you deal with this character this day, you're going to deal with that character the next day. But every day is the same. You're going to get up at the same time. You're going to eat at the same time. You're going to go in the cell at the same time. You're going to shower at the same time. It's just so repetitive that it just becomes redundant, and it's sickening. You know, it's sickening after a while, but you have no choice but to stomach the sickness, because what else can you do? You know, you have to. So another note for you young fellas out there. As a matter of fact, for you young fellas out there that's old enough to understand, older people might understand it. I'm gonna start, when I say note for you young fellas, I'm gonna start doing like they used to do in Living Color. You remember in Living Color when Keenen Ivory Wayans used to be doing that skit, and then he used to be trying to teach people stuff, and he'll say, message? Y'all remember that? I'm gonna start doing that. Message to you young fellas. This is what prison life is like. Sitting around being bored, sitting around, you know, with nothing to do, sitting around doing the same thing every day. You know, it's just so draining. And you saying to yourself, oh, it's gonna change, this gonna change, this. Nah, it don't happen in prison. It's gonna be the same every day. It's gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be the same misery day after day after day after day after day after day. And ain't no help coming. Ain't nobody coming to save you. Ain't no relief in sight. So think about that while you got this good freedom right now. Because that's what's going on over there. Now, I don't care what these dudes come out here and tell you did year 2 or 3 or whatever. They lying. Number one, they lying. Number two, I'm telling you what I know to be true. I did 3 decades and 3 years in there. I know what prison life is like. I don't need nobody to tell me that. I know. And I'm trying to tell you so you'll know, even if you ain't never been in there, so you'll know that ain't no place you trying to go. I'm telling you what I know that life to be like, man. And it's nothing, bro. It's not even living. It's called surviving. Surviving is what you're going to have to do in there. You're going to have to survive. You ain't living at all, you know. And if you're lucky, you're going to make it through to get out here. And if you do be so lucky, get out here and try to help somebody else not to go up in there. But, man, it ain't, man. So, yeah, we was in that, we was in the mode of the mindset of we wanted our freedom, but we still had to be in the warrior set because we were still in a war zone, you know. And that's complicated right there. You in a war zone, but you trying to get free. So you have to be able to compartmentalize all of these emotions, all of these things that's going on with you and still see, you know, the future, man. You have to be tunnel vision, but you still have to watch what was coming from side to side. So it's a difficult task, man. I'm telling you, as you can see, it's difficult even to verbalize. But this is the situation that we was in, man, and man, we was doing it, man, you know. And every now and then, like I say, we was still doing what we do, you know, taking a break every now and then, getting a drink, man, because, you know, I don't do drugs, never did drugs, you know. That's just my personal choice. I don't knock people who do them, so that's them, to each his own. But to me, all I ever did was take a drink every now and then. And when I was in prison, you know, when I could get some wine or something like that, I might take a drink or two and sit there and get me a good vibe, get in my thoughts, relax, take me away from the misery that I was around, and go on about my business. And so most of the time I used to do that. Like I say, when I was around Goldie, we did it together, you know. And we did it together. So, you know, that's what we did to get our relief. That was our relief, you know. Or make food, or get out there and cook and make food and share food. Hey, man, taste this. Goldie could cook too. They couldn't cook better than me. Y'all already know that. You already know that. Goldie, you know that. But he could cook. So he might make something and say, oh, man, taste this, you know. And, you know, be good or whatever. I make something, turn around, take it down here, let him taste that. That's the camaraderie that we had. That's the type of friendship and bond that we done built, you know, over this short period of time, from first meeting and bumping heads like rams. You see what I'm saying? So this is the vibe we on now. We cool with each other, you know, and now we in a freedom fight together. He trying to get out, I'm trying to get out, you know. So everything is hinged on him now, because he done went up for parole before I did, you know, maybe a month or two before me. So it's like, whatever happens with him is probably an indicator of what may happen with me, you know. Now, normally when you go up for parole like that, man, all the years I went up, I think I went up 15, 16 times, somewhere up in there. But all the years that I went up, every time I got turned down, I didn't even acknowledge it during the time it was happening, because I was just so oblivious to the situation. And I realized after that, when I looked at my back turn downs from getting turned down from parole, I looked at them and I could see that I was getting turned down. Every time I got turned down, it was probably within 60 days. Within 60 days, they chop your head off. Boom. So now I start analyzing the patterns of my turn down, how long it took, what their system was, what, you know what I'm saying, was it something that was already cookie cut, or was they actually, you know, considering giving me parole? And what I came up to the conclusion was, it was all cookie cutters, man. They already knew if they gonna give you parole or not. They already knew what your situation was. They already knew what they was gonna do. So normally when they was gonna turn you down, within 60 days, you got hit in the head, you got to turn down. You know, you got to turn down. So I think at this time, months had went by, and you now into like 4 or 5 months. When you get up into that range right there, automatically dudes is automatically assuming they made it, because you never get across that hurdle when you haven't made it, you know. So that's what people be thinking, and that's usually a good conclusion, you know, because anybody, you know, oh, he made it, man. Well, how long he was waiting? 6 months? What? 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, he made parole. But when you gonna get turned down, they take your head off the top. You gonna know within, you know, 60 days, 60 to 90 at the most. So Goldie was past that. I was past that 60-day mark. So now we rolling, man. You know, so now we feeling like, oh man, this junk getting ready to happen. I'm going to the library every day. I'm still working. I'm doing my due diligence. I'm working out, going to the library. That's it. Everything else I've cut off. I just, you know, socialize with a certain amount of people. My Sally, Goldie, a couple of other dudes, because I'm trying to get with dudes that's proactive about getting up out this penitentiary. If you ain't proactive about getting up out this penitentiary, I ain't had no zero tolerance for you. I ain't want to hear nothing else. So All this is going on, man, and me and Goldie, man, like I say, we cool, man, we rocking and whatever. But every now and then, too, if his celly makes something to drink or my celly makes something to drink, we take a little break, drink, have a little drink, get a little buzz on, talk about, man, what it'll be like to be free, what it'll be like to be out there on them streets after so long. You know what I'm saying? Goldie been locked up 20-something years, man. At the time, I'm locked up like 30, you know? So I'm like, man, this would be great. And, man, we in there, man, one night, man, we drinking and we having a good time. His celly big worm that made some good alcohol. So when I say good, I mean potent, where you know you gonna feel the effects of it. So we in there drinking, man, and just enjoying ourselves, man. And got the music playing, talking about days of freedom, talking about what we want to do, what we gonna do when we get out here and everything. And all of a sudden, man, a good time turned into a tragic, life-threatening situation, man. A tragic, life-threatening situation. While we both waiting to try to get out of penitentiary. This is prison for you. This is prison for you. You trying to have fun, you trying to enjoy yourself, and in a split moment, it turned deadly, and it turned to something that threatened not only his life, but my life, not only his freedom, but my freedom.
The bacon special. Yeah, pure deliciousness. Pure deliciousness, man.
My name is Banky, man. Everybody calls me Banky. That's the name that I got from my grandmother when I was young. I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know. And I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts.